really proud to have so many of my colleagues from the San Luis Palm Beach attend as well. And
just thank you so much for all that you did to bring that to the city. Thanks.
Excellent. Anybody else? All right, I want to chime in and congratulate Michael Napoleon, our mayor from Wellington, for being the Complete Streets champion at the Safe Street Summit. I hope I didn't steal your thunder, Valerie. I'm sure I just did. I apologize if I did. So with that, let's move along to the executive director's report.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. We haven't met since December, so great to see you all. And I will echo Commissioner Fox's comments in congratulating the city of West Palm Beach to be our 7th municipality to adopt a formal standalone complete streets policy earlier this month. They were actually one of the first to have complete streets in their plans and in their policies, but as a actual standalone policy, they just did that. So congratulations. And also thank you everyone who participated in the Safe Street Summit, the 12th annual Regional Safe Street Summit that we hosted earlier this month, as well as Commissioner Fox and Mayor Reed mentioned. It was really amazing. We were sold out. We had over 400 people there, had mobile workshops. Thank you to our partners at West Palm Beach and Boca Raton. Councilmember Necklace, she led one of the tours as well. And to all of our board members who participated in the mobile workshops and in the main event. Thanks to everyone's help. And I just want to also congratulate again Mayor Napoleon for receiving the Complete Streets Champion Award, and also Palm Beach County for receiving the Complete Streets Community Award this year. So congratulations. Thank you everyone for your efforts. All that information is on the safestreetsummit.org website, as well as the nominees. Congratulations as well, and pictures from the event, the presentations we were able to share, etc., is all on our website. Also, I want to congratulate. It's not officially out on the web, but Councilmember Necklace has been selected to participate in the Complete Streets Champions Institute for 2025. So congratulations. This is something a few of our board members have been selected, which I'm amazed that, because it's such a small cohort nationally, that we've had our board members selected for this. But Councilmember Andy Thompson, also Mayor Reed, Commissioner Fox have been other board members who've been selected to participate in prior years in this cohort of national elected officials being champions for Complete Streets. So congratulations. We look forward to your efforts in that program. Also, we'll have a brief information presentation later, but Florida Bike Month is in March. So we encourage all our municipalities to adopt a proclamation. We have a template on our website. Every year we get more. So municipalities on board with this. So we hope to break the record again this year. So please join us in celebrating bicycle safety, bicycling as an alternative mode of transportation, and let us know if you do a proclamation. We will be doing a bike ride in downtown West Palm Beach on March 29th at 8 a.m. And so please register, join us for that. And we also have a few other activities, including a bicycle safety and emerging technologies webinar on March 17th, and an in-person e-bike and e-scooter safety event in Palm Beach Gardens at the REI on April 5th. Also, just a reminder, we continue to encourage our local municipalities, our businesses to apply for and get designated as bicycle-friendly communities and businesses. So those deadlines are coming up as well. I also sent an email to the board the other day that FDOT is offering advanced air mobility trainings, and there's sessions for planners and sessions for elected officials. So they're all over the state, happening in different weeks, but the ones that are closest to us are at District 4 in Broward the first week of March. So if you can't make that one, if this interests you and you would like to attend, look at the dates, locations, and see if that might be of interest, and if it might be of interest to anyone you know. And then I think we'll go on to the next slide, if you can. We just have a couple pictures. This is a picture of the summit. As you can see, it was a full house, the Safe Street Summit, and then just some of our board members. I don't think we caught all of them in this group picture, but the ones we were able to gather. I know Village Palm Springs was there as well. These are some of our board members that were there, and our champions awards for this year. Next slide. And then this slide is just I wanted to say thank you to all of our board members that participate in our mobile workshops that we do. We've done a few over the last couple of years to go experience and learn about our transportation system, including the port, Tri-Rail, the airport, Palm-Tran, different transportation, even Brightline, we went to and saw Beep. So just wanted to thank everyone for participating in those. We just had a mobile workshop recently with Tri-Rail, also one with the airport. We have 2 more coming up this year for our board members on at the port, and also we have one in Port of Miami. So I'll be sending out an email. If you can join us, please do. But just a shout out to everyone. We appreciate your participation and getting involved and going out to see and experience all the transportation we have in our region. So thank you. And that's it.
Excellent. Any questions about the executive director's report today?
I
All right, I will say definitely sign up for the remaining 2 opportunities to tour the Port of Palm Beach and the Port of Miami. I think we all get a lot out of those. And also I want to say for the e-scooter event, at the City of Palm Beach Gardens, we did a video about e-scooter safety. And if you look at all the different hits of people, clicking on, municipal videos, which probably isn't the most amazing thing out there in the world, we think so. But the e-scooter video has gotten thousands of clicks compared to the usual couple of hundred. So I think people really do want to know about e-scooter safety. So it'll be interesting. And I think you did one in Boca too, the e-scooter safety
Yeah,
event.
Steph did one with Boca as well.
Yeah.
I have just a quick correction. On the director's report, it says that our bike ride is on the March 29th. It's actually the 21st. So that's a typo on the printed report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move along to our consent agenda. Does anyone have anything they'd like to change or pull from the agenda, from consent? All right, so I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. If you could kindly state your name if you pass the motion. Did we get that?
Can you please repeat who's second, Joel?
Thank you. Okay, so we've got Napoleon and Flores. Great. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's move along to our action items. The first one up is the motion to adopt our 2025 safety targets. If we could have Brian Ruscher, our Deputy Director of Multimodal, please come and present on this item. Good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the governing board. Brian Roofer, Deputy Director of Multimodal here at the Palm Beach Transportation Planning Agency, to present item 2A, our performance measures and safety targets for 2025. This presentation we provide every year. Our safety performance targets come as a requirement from the state in February, and the rest of the the rest of the performance targets are adopted in June or July. So you'll see another presentation later on about the different safety targets the different targets that we measure and indicators and how we track them later in the year. This is specifically focusing on safety, so we're going to dive into that. The goals, objectives, and performance measures that the Transportation Planning Agency tracks are derived from our long-range transportation plan: safe, efficient, connected, multimodal, and resilient. So as I had said before, you're going to see other indicators later for the efficient, connected, multimodal, resilient. Today, we're going to focus on safety as a metric. And the history of safety as a performance measure is that the TPA, since 2018, has adopted Vision Zero. And what that means is that we, as an agency, are working towards accomplishing 0 serious injuries and 0 fatalities on our roadway system here in Palm Beach County. But we are not alone in this. The U.S. Department of Transportation and the Florida Department of Transportation also have established a goal of 0. So this is a statewide and national partnership that we are working on and towards. And we are very proud to be part of that mission. It's a very, very deep programmatic part of the TPA's policies and our programming and our overall workload. So we're going to take a look at the actual performance measures that we track year over year for safety. We measure fatalities, we measure serious injuries, and we measure those 2 categories by non-motorized users as well. We also track rates of fatalities. And the reason that we track a rate is so that we can ensure that as the population goes up or as the vehicle miles traveled on our roadways goes up or down, we are tracking the appropriate trends. So you're going to see those 5 categories on the screen with some specific data and metrics. So as I said before, we track trends. And we track these trends over 5-year periods on an annual average. So you'll see 2014 to 2018, that represents an annual average, 2019 to 2023, representing an annual average, and our current target of 2025 proposed at 0. So reading through this slide, our fatalities over the 5-year annual average, we lost 169 people per year between 2014 and 2018. Between 2019 and 2023, we lost about 200 people per average every year. That rate also increased for fatalities. So when it comes to our overall trend and how we are doing on our roadway system, we are a little bit worse off when you compare the fatality rate, and you will see that our numbers are increasing. Conversely, for serious injuries, they are decreasing. So the 2 5-year averages are trending downwards in terms of serious injuries, as well as the serious injury rate per vehicle miles traveled. So you'll see a pretty substantial decline from the injury rate from 8.05 to 6.39. So serious injuries are declining. For pedestrian and bicycle fatalities and serious injuries, they follow that overall trend and trajectory. Fatalities are increasing while serious injuries are declining. We, as the agency, are a party to the Florida Department of Transportation Safety Coalition, and we go to quarterly meetings from around the state to meet with statewide partners, to meet with other municipalities, counties, and MPOs. We are hearing that, while serious injuries are declining, the fatalities are increasing. The trend for that could be that, the likelihood of a survivability in a crash is declining because vehicles are getting larger. So they're impacting different parts of the body. They're getting heavier and other, characteristics that go along with that. We are continuing to track this, but overall, this is the trend that we've seen. Fatalities are going up, serious injuries are going down. So looking ahead and how we're going to continue to work on this effort, because I don't want to give you just a bunch of bad news. I want to give you something to reflect on and think about how you can engage. We are continually tracking crashes in Palm Beach County, and we do so through the lens of the Florida Strategic Highway Safety Plan. This was adopted in 2021, and it's undergoing an update right now and to be adopted in 2026. This plan lays out emphasis areas for the state to focus on. You'll see roadways, road users, and user behavior with different categories associated with the specific overall themes. So for example, road users includes people who are biking and walking, aging road users, motorcyclists, motor scooters, etc. User behavior has to do with impaired driving, occupant protection, such as child safety devices, seatbelt wearing, etc. Unfortunately, we do have the number one ranked area in the state for large counties in terms of our emphasis areas for aging road users and the crashes that are associated with them. And we are second in the state for large counties where drivers are speeding or aggressive driving and result in a crash. So we are tracking that. We're continually working on it. We've actually added Vision Zero, our Sheriff's Department, to our Vision Zero Action Committee in the past year. So we're really happy to have them on board because we can continually hear about the target areas that they're working in and work on reinforcing and getting at some of these critical emphasis areas throughout the county. Some of the TPA safety efforts that we've had underway, and I'd like to highlight, and reiterate what Executive Director Nielsen said about the city of West Palm Beach with respect to the standalone policy at the city of West Palm. The reason that is important is because while you can reflect complete streets and comprehensive plans, and maybe you can reflect them in the typical sections, similar to Vision Zero, you want to have a standalone policy that directs staff with specific intention, reporting requirements, and other needs. Smart Growth America has actually evaluated numerous policies coming out of Palm Beach County, which have used our template, and they've consistently ranked in the top 10 nationwide, most specifically Village of Wellington. So we are really proud of our Complete Streets policy and our partners to continue pushing for those, and that's why we push for a standalone Complete Streets policy. We also have 14 municipalities who have adopted Vision Zero out of our 39. And we're continuing to work with them on the Safe Streets and Roads for All programmatic funding that have gone forward over the past 2 years alone, where we've gotten over $11 million in safety funding programmed. We, of course, just closed our Transportation Alternatives Program, where we're going to be programming $5 million in active transportation projects. And of course, our safety events and programs wings. We mentioned a few already, and we'll mention more in the bike month presentation. The TPA participates in about 40 events throughout the year with our municipalities and with our county to ensure that we're actively promoting safe user behavior as much as possible, in addition to the road design elements that we work on as well. We are also, to close out, working on a update to our Vision Zero action plan in 2025. This is going to have more data frameworks that your staff can work with at your municipalities. So we'll have a new dashboard that will include a lot of the metrics that you're going to want to track and a lot of the information that you'll need to use over time, as well as updating our network to reflect more recent crash trends, more recent crash data, because as projects improve roadways over time, some other roadways might bubble up to the top. And that also will reflect the 14 Safe Streets and Roads for All grants program that have been received in Palm Beach County. We're going to work to update the program to reflect some of the needs of that program and aligning with federal policies that might be coming in the next few months. So with that, I'd like to request a motion to adopt safety targets. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Mayor Koretsky? Oh, I apologize. Before we dig in, do we have any public comment? My mistake.
No, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Mayor Koretsky.
Yeah, I have a number of comments, which I do think is appropriate because I think Vision Zero is something that we all embrace. I certainly embrace. I'm both a elected official and a professional engineer, so there's no greater accountability that I feel like I have than public safety. So the kind of disappointing to see the results on fatalities, but the fact that, and you didn't show it, but in the package we had, the state had their indicator for fatalities and serious injuries is a rolling 5-year average. And you can see a trend from that. So in the summary table you give us, we can't see that for Palm Beach County. So I'd like to see that because it hopefully there is something we can learn from looking at how it's trending year to year with the 5. So we should be matching the same metric that they have. The fact that even the FDOT report that you attached to our agenda, it states that Florida is making progress towards achieving the targets established for serious injuries, but not yet for fatalities or non-motorized users. I'd like them to answer to us, why is that? And I don't mean that to be confrontational, but they're closer to the data than we are. There must be some it's not logical that you'd be making reductions in serious injuries, but not having resulting reductions in fatalities. I know you speculated, but I just would be curious with FDOT if they can share some insight on that, because we need to understand that there may be other things happening that are causing it, and the sooner we know that, the sooner we can take action. So that's an ask to show us the same formatted data. I know you don't have it now, but I'd like to see it. I want to say this, that each TPA board member owns this for their respective jurisdiction if you're committed to Vision Zero. So each of us takes away, like you talked about, the sheriff's department participating, but each municipality that happens to have their own police agency also is involved. And without that, then we're never going to get to Vision Zero. So each of us has to do our part. I want to share some practices that we do. I've learned a lot from others sitting here, so I think it's good to share. We do an annual traffic update and roundtable discussion where we bring our police and our engineering department together. And once we started doing that, what that does is we make sure that the police inherently are going to live with what infrastructure they have, and our engineers can bring solutions on, engineering controls and stuff. And so we find every year and we focus on where have accidents been, where have there been injuries. And generally out of that always comes at least a few items that we take action on and never would if we didn't have that dedicated dialogue. So I do recommend that. recently we had and I remember learning from the West Palm experience with, fatalities that were attributed to the pedestrians, and while we don't have that density, it caught my attention. And so we had a situation recently in the last couple months where due to a misunderstanding with the FRA, we had implemented a no, where traffic on a town road, Riverside Drive, we didn't allow movement on the right turn on red. And that resulted in a horrendous situation that caused such a backlog of traffic and when that happens, the public resorted to just violating, common sense safety. And so we knew that we had, a safety situation we had to get a control of. And so we immediately embarked on discussions with FRA on why was that a requirement? It wasn't. Our traffic engineer worked with the county to change for that intersection, southbound to A1A, to change the laneage where 2 lanes could be devoted to right turns. We only had 1. And we put up a warning board. I'm sure a lot of municipalities have that to change behavior. And then we assigned our police to make sure that anybody, and it was happening all over the place, anybody that was involved, that was doing an unsafe act at that intersection, learned not to do it anymore. So behaviors were significantly changed. And I submit we could have had a fatality. But that happens from the partnership, as I talked about, engineering. Again, a shout out to the county. County has worked with us before, county engineering. I think it's important sometimes to share this in here, what our experience is we have in our annual reviews, there was one intersection in particular that was problematic. There was partnering with the county for several years to come up with, and we went through a couple different types of design solutions. Inevitably, when we had our annual review, I was pleased to hear not only were the accident rate going down, but the property damage per accident. So we knew we were making an effective change. But these are all small, one by one, we got this intersection, we got that intersection. And while it's nice to do that and as a commitment to Vision Zero, I think that, greater emphasis has to be made by all of us, including funding for that. Really, I mean, how can we adopt this just without also at least starting to ponder about, are we really assigning money to implement solutions to get the number? And I think not, because our funding program is you can't get something in until year 6. We have a 5-year budget, right? So to me, this is an alarm going off. I'm concerned about. I know there's been a lot of efforts, a lot of good collaborations, but I just don't feel like I'm really bothered, and I feel like I'm failing because I own this when the fatality rate's going up. So I just wanted to kind of say that, because I don't think on something like this on agenda, particularly with a short agenda, and we should just kind of adopt it and move on. At some point in time, we have to have some real conversation about what are we doing?
Yeah. So if I could, there's definitely some things to cover there. I think your first point about matching the DOT platform and how we show those metrics and maybe providing comparison for similar agencies would be helpful in future presentations. So we'll get working on including that maybe for our next update. And I appreciate your kind of holistic look at Vision Zero. Vision Zero requires, everyone from the media to our urban planners, to our landscape architects, to our elected officials, our police department, our first responders, be it police or EMS, to be committed to this and have the appropriate training on how to make Vision Zero work Sometimes Vision Zero decisions are very hard, but they are necessary if we want to take this action seriously. And I did want to take the opportunity just to highlight our Transportation Alternatives Program, which is a 3-year funding program. And most of the projects that we received this year actually were hitting metrics which get at specific target areas. So our Vision Zero Action Plan has dark and unlit as a category, motorcyclist, pedestrian and bicycle, or otherwise on the high injury network, which generally encapsulates automotive users. And we assign a pretty hefty amount of scoring to those types of corridors. So when we get a project in, those rise to a more expedited level. And it is a 3-year funding program. So there is a benefit there, which we did just close, and we got about 10 projects in. So we're really happy about that. So we'll work on getting those other points together. Thank you.
All right, thank you. If the notes could reflect that Commissioner Baxter's joined us, and then our Executive Director, after that, we'll have Commissioner Weiss, Wilson, and then Mayor Napoleon.
Thank you, Brian, for the presentation, and thank you, Mayor Koretsky, for your comments. And I think Brian hit on a couple of the points. I did want to mention, because this is a 5-year average, one of the things that affected the 5-year average, and this was something that happened nationally, was there was a peak during the pandemic of fatalities of people speeding, and a really big peak that kind of throws that off a bit. But, you know, this does, as you mentioned, Mayor, this does really take everyone doing their part. And, you know, there's a lot to do. And I will mention that Brian showed that we have had $11 million in Safe Streets for All grants awarded to 12 of our municipalities. 2 of them, Boca and County, got, in addition to creating their own Vision Zero action plans, which Wellington is the first to complete one in our county recently. But in addition to that, the county and Boca also received grants to do pilot safety projects, including flashing yellow arrows and other things like that. So we have a lot of work to do. All of these municipalities who are starting on their Vision Zero action plans are just getting started on what are they going to do and how are they going to implement these things. So, and I'm not remembering the number off the top of my head, but in the Safe Streets for All program, we had a what are we doing section, and we have the total number of safety is one of our major performance measures. So it doesn't mean that you have to have something go wrong for us to prioritize funding for it. It is one of our priorities, and we have a lot of funding going to projects in our program. We quantified it in our Safe Streets for All, like what are we doing section, but we are prioritizing wherever we can projects for safety. And just something that we mentioned at the Safe Street Summit that we're really excited about is that we funded the first ever separated bicycle facility on a county road that's 99% complete. We'll be doing a ride next month. First ever separated bike lane on a county road, Lyons Road. So that's a huge milestone, because the county didn't do those types of facilities before, and now this is kind of them trying, and hopefully we see more of those. So we funded that, and also we worked with the department to do the first ever separated bicycle facility in the district on a DOT road that's also under construction right now on Lake Worth Road, which will have in the village of Palm Springs, it will have separated bike lanes, new mid-block crossing, and shared use paths. So there's a lot of kind of work in the pipeline and work to do, and we really look forward to everyone's participation in our Vision Zero action plan update. So thank you for your comments, and thank you to everyone. Just a reminder, on our website, we have a template for a resolution and a lot of resources for doing Vision Zero action plans. So really appreciate everyone who's gotten on board with it, and look forward to more participation to help us in these efforts.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. Couple things. What recently been looking at, there's technology. I mean, we have a lot of connected vehicles now, and there's technology out there to warn drivers if people are in the intersection, pedestrians or bicycles. I think that's something, I mean, we should be hopefully looking at and seeing it, how we can, especially at our more dangerous intersections. So at least the drivers that do have the vehicles equipped with that technology will get warnings, early warnings. I also, in sort of following on Mayor Koretsky's comment, it seems like there's probably a combination of things happening as well. I have to believe distracted driving with cell phones has got to be a huge contributor to a lot of these accidents. And so maybe it's a combination. So I know you said aging was was the largest, but I would also want to know underlying, was there all, because do they look at secondary? Or do they just say if you're over 65, it's an aged incident as opposed to being an aged incident using, a cell phone to text at the same time? And I don't know if your statistics gathers that, but I have to believe that that's got to play a large role in it. And then recently I was reading an article about seatbelt design, and that the way they were designed, they were using mannequins more totally in the shape of the male anatomy, typically larger. And what they're finding out is women are getting more seriously injured because of that. And to the extent that we can push to have that looked at and seeing maybe is there a way for these seatbelts to be redesigned to keep female passengers and drivers safer in their vehicles, to keep them from getting injured. So, and then my last question was on the 5-year average. It would be, I think, on the dashboard. Hopefully, we can see the annual numbers, because the averages are important to try and smooth the peaks and valleys out. But it's also, I think, important to see if there's any kind of a trend. If it, as you said, 2020 was a very bad year because of speeding, and then has that subsided now, and do we see that going in a downward trend, so to be able to make better decisions?
Certainly. So just a few things on the vehicle design and the seatbelt design. Safe vehicles is a very strong tenet of Vision Zero. Obviously, us as an agency, we don't have authority, but we do track the NHTSA requirements for rulemakings around vehicles. So you are correct in that there are new safety features that come with vehicles, pedestrian detection, bicyclist detection, even as so far as like dooring for cyclists is now a sensor that's included for parallel parking. So there are certainly things that are there. And I think that you're right on the money when it comes to having infrastructure speak to one another. It's part of the connectedness to everything approach to our intersections or otherwise conflict points where there are people detected, that the infrastructure would be able to speak to vehicles even before they arrive at that intersection. They know that there is something there to it. So I wholeheartedly agree. We'll continue to track those things as they move forward and as NHTSA publishes new rules. You are correct also that this is a combination of things, as you alluded to with your commentary with Mayor Koretsky. We do track the primary and secondary causes, so we do see that we are in the top. If you look back at that emphasis area slide, we are an emphasis area for the entirety of it. So you are correct that distracted driving is another underlying cause, impaired driving. There are other characteristics to nighttime driving and nighttime crashes. We generally have a higher rate for those than the state. So what we'll do is I'll share that that matrix with you that compares all of the counties after the board meeting. And then lastly, I believe our dashboard does have the annual average statistics online, but if not, we'll get it updated to reflect that as well. We try to show the 5-year average just to make it so that we understand, because year over year, things like COVID could happen or a recession could happen. We need to look at the 5-year average so we'll make sure that includes both.
Anything else, Commissioner Weiss? All set? Okay, great. Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Valerie, you guys for taking the lead on this Vision Zero plan. I guess my question is, and whether it's a fatality issue or just a serious injury, it's an accident. And so as we combine that, my concern would be, you indicated, Brian, and thank you for your report, that a lot of it because of human behavior, aggressive drivers in the state of Florida, Palm Beach County. Is that percentage, or are you guys tracking maybe the design of the road, or maybe the lack of safety nets for those particular roads? Again, in the Glades community, I just tell you, we know a lot of it because of lack of lighting. Is that a part of your study? Does it indicate anywhere in there because of the safety nets, maybe larger lanes or wider lanes?
Good question. So what we look at when we pull these statistics is the raw crash reports. And so when the police generate a report for each incident and crash that occurs on our roadways, they will indicate and they update this so that, if there's a analysis of the crash where they can show that the driver was in fact speeding, or there's other witness accounts that they collect after the fact, that data is updated with the police report as it rolls on. Typically, it takes at least 6 months for most crashes to clear, and then there's about a lag of a year in the reporting period statewide. That's why we only have up to 2023 in the data. So what you're seeing is actually just the raw police report, and not so much like a look at the geometry of the road per se. But when we do engineering studies on roadways and preliminary looks at all of the roadways. So when DOT goes out and does like a resurfacing project, we always look at things like crashes on the roadway, excessive speeding, and others to try to see what countermeasures we can put in to make those changes come to reality.
Thank you so much. Mayor Napoleon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I only had 2 points, and that was kind of one of them. When we see the stats for pedestrian, cyclist, mobility accidents and injuries and fatalities, I'd like to see more of the data as to what the cause was, because I remember a couple of years back, we had a big discussion about a bike accident and everyone wanted to put in protected bike lanes, but the issue was crossing an intersection. So that wasn't something that was solvable by protected bike lanes. So I think getting data on what the actual cause of the accident crash is would be helpful for us to try to figure out the best way to proactively take care of it. And the second point is, on one of your slides, you had areas of emphasis, and I think you should add school zones to that area of emphasis to make sure we're protecting, the youngest, most vulnerable people and focus on those areas. We just had a horrible bike crash in Woodlands Middle. 2 kids were on the sidewalk and they spilled out into the road and got hit by a truck. So again, that's nothing would have necessarily prevented that, but we should look at school zone safety as something else to make a point of emphasis.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? All right, we're looking for a motion and a second to adopt the 2025 safety targets. When you make the motion, please announce your name first. Flores, and
Second, Wilson.
thank you very much. Do we need a roll call vote on this one, perhaps?
No.
No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for all the answers. We'll move along to the motion to adopt our amendment number 2, the fiscal year 2025 to 2029 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. And we're going to have Andrew Euler, our Deputy Director of Programs, present on this item. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. So this is amendment number 2 to the fiscal year 2025, the 2029 Transportation Improvement Program. So this is our 5-year programming of federal and state funding within Palm Beach County. And with this amendment, what really triggers an amendment for this case is the addition of new phases in the current fiscal year of 2025. So these are adding projects to 2025. And so as a reminder as well, this only impacts the products that are listed in this amendment package. You're not voting on the entire TIP document. So in this amendment, there's a handful of projects. The first set of products are railroad safety products. These are 6 additional products that FDOT requested for fiscal year 2025. They are throughout the county, and they vary in the types of treatments for safety at these various railroad crossings. But they use federal highway, rail highway crossing and hazard elimination funds. So these are our federal funds that the state receives to put towards these types of projects. The way this works out is the railroad owners and the various communities work to figure out types of needs, safety needs at these crossings. They are then submitted to the state, and the state prioritizes those in collaboration with FHWA. And then these are the ones that you see as the next ones to be funded. So these are mostly coming about by communities and most likely by the railroad owners. The next 2 products are transit products. And these are both products that are on the TPA's list of priority products. So these use specific funding that the TPA prioritized in the federal government. The 2 products here are Lake Worth Road Transit Signal Priority in fiscal year 25 for $1 million, and then Tri-Rail Rolling Stock in fiscal year 2025 for $5 million. So working with FDOT, there was available funding in the current fiscal year, and the TPA staff and FDOT looked at the list of priority products that you all adopted, and we looked at the ones that are able to receive funds in the current fiscal year. And with that were these two products. So the first one, the Lake Worth Road Transit Center Priority. Right now, already programmed and going through procurement is US 1 Transit Center Priority, as well as Okeechobee Boulevard. And the next one on that list for the priorities is Lake Worth Road. So this is Palm Beach County and Palm Tran implementing the Transit Center Priority on these three corridors. So this is adding Lake Worth Road. The next one is rolling stock for Tri-Rail. And so this is, they've been requesting funds through the TPA for new rolling stock, both the locomotive and the carts, the rail cars. And with this, it's not just an effort with us, but also in Broward and Miami-Dade. There's also funding coming from them. But this one in our list of priority products is advancing $5 million into fiscal year 2025. And so both of these products as well, it does use funds within the current fiscal year, and it allows the freeing up of funds in later years. So we'll be able to fund other products that are on the list that have not been prioritized, funded yet, to then get into the work program. That's all I have for you. I can answer any questions. And we do have some FDOT staff here as well.
Oh,
in case
excellent.
there's-
All right, we have a card up. Do we have any public comment?
No, Madam
We
Chair.
have a card up from Mayor Koretsky.
Just quickly on this one, why I support the amendment, but I just want to emphasize that whenever we talk about railroad crossings, the paradigm is we talk about the automobile crossings, but I've been working with Brightline for several years on safety provisions where we have pedestrian crossings. Now you might say, well, stop them. Well, how do you stop them when people have been traveling across the track, for decades? So it's my understanding that a raised grant included some pedestrian barrier fencing along a stretch in Jupiter that's next to a neighborhood with a lot of kids, and for decades they've been crossing the tracks and alternate A1A to go to a grocery store, and it's hard to change those habits. I just want to make that emphasis. Sometimes our paradigms is we limit the safety is just at official intersection, and I know this one time we talked about this years ago, there was a conversation about how at West Palm Beach, western areas in Palm Beach County had those kind of situations. So if we really believe in Embrace Vision Zero, you really have to be mindful of where pedestrians, automobile drivers, bicyclists, everybody is at risk, on moving around. So I just wanted to make the pitch, and I've reached out to Brightline for an update on that raised grant. I understand that they're getting closer to actually signing it and doing the work. And I'll be so relieved when that happens, because I worry about, our kids and pedestrians that are doing what they shouldn't be doing, but have no way really to stop them. But a fence will do that. And I understand further south, that was done. But any municipality tried to undertake putting a fence on FEC property would realize it takes an act of Congress to get any efforts working together. If we could ever address that, we would help public safety.
Thank you. We have Deputy Vice Mayor Long.
Thank you. So we had an issue in Delray around Christmas time when we had one of our ladder trucks collided with a Brightline train. Miraculously, no one was killed during that incident. But since then, we've been taking a look at what can we do there's 3 intersections in Delray right now, train crossings that don't have quad gates, which means double gates on both sides. So that accident happened for a few reasons. The firefighters at the time were responding to a house fire, and they waited while the gate was down for a freight train to pass, but then did not wait for it to go back up and went around. And it was just a single gate, so they could get around it. And they couldn't see that there was a Brightline coming and collided with it. And so granted, that was an issue and our firefighter was at fault in that case. However, if we had quad gates there, that wouldn't happen. There's only 3 intersections in Delaware where that's an issue. And, I reached out to Brian and we are going to be going out there next week and meeting with an FRA inspector. Our city engineer is going to be there. We're going to look into other safety measures, but I just wanted to bring it up in general is I think that just having these quad gates really at every intersection should be required. So no cars can get through, let alone a fire truck. And I know how difficult it is. Every city has different contracts. And in the case of Delray, I think we pay for any improvements or changes to these intersections, but it has to be approved by the FRA. And so I wanted to just bring it up and see if there's any role for the TPA to have in this, sort of crusade to get more, quad gates.
But that's a really worthy endeavor. We do have quad gates in Palm Beach Gardens. We still have crashes though, unfortunately. There was an effort nationally that a couple of us were working on in tandem with Brightline to have, and this is almost embarrassing to say, to have signs that say trains go both ways at intersection, which sounds like a Florida man joke, but it's real. So until people stop taking chances, unfortunately, I'd love to find out what you find with the quad gates, because we put in every single supplemental safety measure that you could possibly do in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. And we'd like to make sure our residents stay safe. Yeah. Trains go both ways. Yeah. So I apologize, Andrew.
No, I was going to say, Mr. Long, you're correct. Like, there has been a lot of movement towards quad gates throughout the communities, and that's one of the measures put in for quiet zones as well. So a lot of communities have started to put those in, and obviously you're working with our staff and FDOT and FHWA on those additional crossings within Delray. So it is one of those mechanisms. I don't know, Brian, if you wanted to add anything or not.
Sure. Yeah. And Brian Rusher, Deputy Director of Multimodal, we have a pretty strong history of making sure that the quiet zones went into place. But for what it's worth, there are, as Chair Reed alluded to, supplemental safety measures that can get at some of these things, and those typically are funded by the locals. So there are safety grants that we can forward on to you. We'll make sure that, there's especially rail safety. We're kind of a high, I don't want to call this a high risk area, but there's a lot of crashes that happen in South Florida. So the FRA has a lot of attention and a lot of focus. And whenever we ask for help, they're always very, very open. They're willing to come to these meetings with our engineers and the planning team. So we'll go out into the field. We'll work with you on trying to identify some funding from, safety grants and otherwise. But typically, yeah, that is the approach, and making sure that whatever supplemental goes in prevents these types of crashes. Even our safest first responders, make mistakes. So we'll work with you on that in the future. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Any other cards, questions, or otherwise? Andrew, are we all set? All right, with that, I'm asking for a motion and a second. Oh, yeah, it'll have to be a roll call vote, yes. I'm asking for a motion and a second to adopt this second amendment to fiscal year 2025 to 2029 for the Transportation Improvement Plan. Napoleon, and may I get a second? Baxter, thank you. And we are going to do a roll call vote, Ruth. Thank you.
Steve Wilson,
Yes.
Andy Thompson. Oops. Fran Nacklis. Angela Cruz.
Yes.
Angela
me?
Cruz. Rob Long.
Yes.
I said yes.
Chuck Shaw is absent. Jim Koretsky.
Yes.
Ronaldo Diaz.
Yes.
Kimberly Schmitz.
Yes.
DeAndre Poole.
Yes.
Greg Wise.
Yes.
Marcy Woodward.
Yes.
Sarah Baxter. Joelle Flores. Glenn Spiritus.
Yes.
Jeff Hamara.
Yes.
Michael Napoleon.
Yes.
Christy Fox.
Yes.
Joseph Peduzzi is absent. Maria Marino.
Yes.
Chelsea Reed.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, Angela, go ahead.
Can you try Angela Cruz again since she's online?
Can you guys hear me?
It's very low, the volume.
Can you hear
so-
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm sorry. I had said yes, but I don't know if anybody heard. So I
Okay,
just wanted
thank
to
you.
confirm. Thank you.
All right. All set, Ruth?
Yes, all set.
All right, so that passes. And I have to say, I'm thrilled about the rolling stock. I can't believe Commissioner Woodward didn't have something to say about that because I know we're all looking forward to Tri-Rail having more stock. Do you want to add anything on that?
Sure, I could pipe in. We actually have piggybacked on another contract in the country, and we requested more than we could currently afford in the hopes that more of this money would be coming. So thank you for that. I do believe it's still about an 18-month process before we could expect to see any of it, but thank you all very much for the vote.
Excellent. Thank you. Sorry, I put you on the spot there. All right, no worries. So we're moving along to our information items. I got braces, guys. I'm sorry. Information items. We're going to talk about Florida Bicycle Month.
That is on. And here to celebrate Florida Bicycle Month coming in March 2025, we have a lot of really great programs that we're starting to hear about. Every one of you have staff that have received the proclamation already for what it's worth to pass in your March agenda items. So please be on the lookout for that. If you don't see it, make sure you get it on your meeting agendas. So really quickly, wanted to highlight some of the things that we do in the presentation here, and my clicker just went berserk on me. So I'll see if I can get it back. But the point of Florida Bicycle Month is to highlight that bicycling is a safe, normal, convenient means to get around Palm Beach County. We are very proud that we are an area that you can bike year round without, concern for snow or other road conditions that kind of temporarily shut things down. So we try to highlight that throughout the year and especially emphasize some of the new infrastructure that's in Palm Beach County. So on March 21st, as we had mentioned before, we're going to be hosting the TPA annual bicycle ride. And I'm just going to leave it on this slide and ask Ruth to advance whenever I can. This bicycle ride is going to highlight kind of the new facilities that have come to West Palm Beach and kind of the surrounding areas, showing some of the most congested parts of the county, what you can do to get around without a car. So we're really proud to host these events. There's going to be other rides and webinars and things that you'll hear about as well. But we're going to just keep this presentation brief as we roll through the next slide. As Valerie had mentioned before, we smashed our record last year. I think our goal was 18 proclamations, and last year we passed 27 and for 2023 for 2024. So we are really proud to have that goal. Our 2025 goal is 30 proclamations. Next slide, please. We also are very proud to have strong partnerships within the community. We have obviously really great relationships with our commuting, our transit partners, our cities, our county, our professional associations that work on building and designing these facilities. So on the screen is just some of the previous events that have been hosted. We've already started getting some flyers from events that are going on in Boca Raton, unincorporated areas of the county and other areas. So we're really excited to start seeing the events coming in and getting planned already. So we'd encourage you all, if you want to have something hosted in your municipality, have your staff reach out to the TPA team. We'll help you plan something. Next slide. And then lastly, our multimodal planner was not able to join us today, but her contact information is listed if you would like to reach out and get going on planning an event. Thank you all.
Excellent. Do we have any public comment, Ruth?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, we have a card up for Mayor Koretsky.
Just quickly, we're not going to make it for this March, but I'm just delighted, and I've said this I think in this meeting before, that we have two significant missing links in Jupiter that FDOT is working on, closing where we never had pedestrian or bicycle facilities. One is the US 1 bridge. Right now, there is at least a pedestrian pathway open that bikes can use, but the bikes won't open until the second part of the bridge is open, which I don't think it'll happen by March, but we're grateful. So it's on the horizon. And then there was another missing link, and that was pedestrians and bicyclists to go on Indian Town Road across the I-95 and Turnpike section, and that's being closed. So we're just really thrilled. So we could really be celebrating if those construction jobs were done, but that won't happen until middle of the year. But nonetheless, we're celebrating them.
So stick around for after. We want to try to see if we can plan kind of a marquee event for October. Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation is going to be hosting a meeting down here
Yep.
in Jupiter. We're planning. So
Thank you.
stay
Yep.
tuned. Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Valerie, did you have something?
Just wanted to thank you, Brian, and wanted to echo, we're really excited about the bridge. We've been talking to FDOT's PR person and hope to plan a big celebration for that, the US 1 bridge in Jupiter when it's complete. It'll be a really great new ped bike connection and a much needed bridge. So just wanted to remind everyone, we have a resolution template on our website. So if you need one to pass along, that we've also been asking staff at the municipalities to please bubble it up as well. So just reach out or visit our website to get that template so you can join us in these proclamations. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. So we do have administrative items on the agenda today. They are provided as information just to the board. We do not have staff presentations on them unless requested by a board member. Do we have any public comment for
No,
these
Madam Chair.
administrative items? None. All right. Does anyone have anything they want to pull or review? All right. With that, I'll just let you know. Oh, yep. So sorry. Oh, goodness. I guess it's not on my, we have a partner update. Come on at perfect timing. I apologize. I'm missing a page in my agenda. Thank you.
Takes two times. Voice, I'm pressing the button. Here we go. I'm here to invite you to a public information meeting. It's going to be held just down the road at the Marriott next Thursday night in person about widening Florida's Turnpike. My name is Victoria Williams. I am the Turnpike's liaison administrator. And when we hold these public info meetings, it's an opportunity for the public to talk with our project manager and with the teams that are doing these analysis. So if you look in your Transportation Tuesday newsletter, you will see the flyer. Thank you very much, Valerie, for having that in there. And there's even a QR code to make it easy. If you can't come in person, please consider seeing it online. We have them offered virtually, and it'll hook you right up for that. That's on Tuesday night at 5:30. All of this goes onto the website. It's a long string, but it's the segment that this is in reference to. Widen Turnpike 710 to 7, oh gosh, so sorry. Yeah, this one is for 704 to 710 from Okeechobee Boulevard